The talks lasted 7 days. On the 8th day, the strangers agreed to leave the sacred hills alone and build elsewhere. After hearing Cebu's legend, there is a saying, the voice of the past still echoes in tomorrow. That night, as the stars blinked above Lorm Nava, the people gathered again around the fire. The drum beat was gentle, steady. Boom, boom, boom. Not of war, but of unity. There is a saying, unity is in the hearts, and life is in the land. Cebu passed peacefully in his sleep that same night, a smile on his face. They buried him beside the baobab tree. The warriors danced barefoot to honor him. There is a saying, when a hero dies, his words become the people's hearts. That actually happens to Cebu. A new drum was carved in remembrance of Cebu and placed in the village square. No one touched it unless the elders agree. The name of this drum is the peace within war. There is a saying, what is beautiful but lack peace is not true. Today, the children of Lorm Nava still learn the story of the Drumbeat of War, a tale not of spears alone, but of courage, wisdom, and peace that speaks louder than battle. Peace lives in calmness, war lives in pride. So the people of Lorm Nava decided to leave war, but to stick to peace. Every year during the festival of ancestors, the people of Lorm Nava gather in their finest kente to retell the story of Cebu and the war that birthed peace. Children wear red bands in remembrance, not to fight, but to honor the great one. There is a saying, you step into the past to guide the future. The elders beat the great drum 3 times. Each beat a symbol, the pain of war, the strength of peace, and the power of unity. All the villagers fall silent when it speaks. One walks into the war by mistake, but walks out of it by wisdom. That's the wise saying. Wami, now an old man with Cebu's calm eyes, watches the young ones dance and chant. The war songs turn peace songs. He teaches them that fighting is not always bravery. Sometimes it is a fear in disguise. When the rains fall heavy and thunder rolls, the villagers say it is the ancestors beating their drums above, reminding them to protect their land with heart, not hate. One dry season, a group of young men from a distant place tried to challenge Lorm Nava's land rights. They came with anger, threats, and weapons, but the chief invited them to a feast instead of a fight. There is a saying, the peace you show removes the war you feared. After eating, drinking, and listening to the tale of Cebu and the sacred drum, the strangers laid down their arms and embraced the people. They left with respect, meaning the word you give to someone is the word you offer to the day. As time moves on, Lorm Nava became a place of wisdom where people from other villages came to learn conflict resolution, farming, music, and storytelling. They call it the village of wise drum. There is a saying that war and drum cannot share one rhyme. The children carved tiny drums as toys, not weapons, and competed not in fighting, but in storytelling. The bravest child was not the loudest, but the one whose story brought tears and laughter. At the top of the hill above the village, a shrine was built in Cebu's honor. Every new warrior, farmer, and storyteller climbs there to make a vow to protect life first before land. And so, even now, when the drumbeat of war threatens distant lands, the wind carries a whisper from Lorm Nava. One harmattan morning, a sudden fire broke out in the forest near Lorm Nava. Smoke rose like a signal, and people ran with buckets, leaves, and sand. As the fire spread, Cebu's grandson, Kojo, saw two hunters trapped behind the flames. Without fear, he tied a cloth over his mouth and ran through the fire paths. The villagers shouted, thinking Kojo was gone, but he returned, holding both hunters by their hands, clothes bent but alive. That evening, they danced not for war, but for bravery. The talking drums told Kojo's name to the sky. Elders blessed him with wine. Later, a message came from the king of a faraway land. He had heard of Lorm Nava's wisdoms and invited their chief to teach other villages how to resolve fights. Kwame took Kojo and 3 others and journeyed across rivers and hills to the king's palace. They went with drums, stories, and truths. In the palace, people from 10 villages gathered. Some had been enemies for years, but when the drum beats began and the story of Cebu was told, even enemies held hands. Kojo stood and shared how peace saved his village from being burnt like the forest. He ended with a wise saying, "A wise hand holds a hoe, not a spear." The room clapped. On their return, Kwame handed over leadership to Kojo, declaring him the new voice of the village. All cheered and poured libation. And so Kojo led with Cebu's heart and his own strength, keeping the drum of war locked but always visible to remind the people of what they once overcame. The people of Lorm Nava became a symbol of wisdom, courage, and peace across the land. Their stories teaches us that the strongest villagers are not those who fight, but those who chose peace, protect truth, and honor the past. Let your drum beat for unity, not distraction. For when a peace leads, generations live.